The Big 12 weekday games reaction show edition of the Big 12 Experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting research platform for parlays, props, game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets or visit HOFBets.com. Code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head over to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus today. We're also brought to you by the SGPN merch store. 15% off everything. You can use the promo code PLAYOFFS. Welcome, everybody, to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Wednesday, January the 24th. We got one game left in the Big 12 for round 6. We're through 6 rounds. If you wonder who you're listening to, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. And joining me each and every episode, he was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family in Ames, Iowa. Hey, Cyclones play tonight, and he lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. A walking contradiction, Rambling Rush, a.k.a. the co-host of the Ryan and Rush Show. What's up, Rush? How you doing, man?
Well, the picks giveth, and they taketh away after a 6-1 Saturday. Nice 1-4 Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully, one of the team I picked today turns it around. At least we got the lock in, so we're 500 with locks, 500 with just
and yeah, it was a shit week across the board for us. And third man in the box, you guys know him as the Big 12 guru, aka the 6 Zen champ. For those watching on YouTube.com/the College Experience, he is the green mowing, weed growing Big 12 guru, Troy Tuning. What's up, man? Shit week for you too, and me. I mean, goddamn.
Man, Oklahoma State couldn't even get me a second win by half a fucking point. I logged on and I was like, I think I won 2 games. What did we pick Oklahoma State at? Did we get them at 5.5 or 4.5? And Max like 4.5, dude. They fucked us.
Yeah, dude. Well, and we'll talk about Oklahoma State reactions other than just shit picks. I mean, we had a fire Saturday. Regressed a little bit here this week, which means we're going to have a monster Saturday this weekend. Troy, I'll go right back to you. Your thoughts on round 6 in the Big 12 that featured the biggest win being the Houston Cougars, obviously going to BYU.
The kind of the same thing that I said before is if LJ Cryer plays well, Houston's not. I don't think there's a team that can beat him, especially if he gets to that 20-point range. But man, I think it has a lot to do with just the league in general. Like if you go over 500 on a slate in the Big 12, like that's a pretty good week for you. Just like I'm sure at least 80% of the money was on Kansas to cover and can't even cover at home on fucking Big Monday against Cincinnati. I mean, they got issues. I guess we really should wait for it to say February, like officially, instead of just the last week of January and going like, oh, it's almost February. Kansas is about to turn it around. Not so much. I mean, they're able to win, but that was shocking for me to watch on a Big Monday game in the fog for them to not end up pulling away. I think that says a lot. Kansas just isn't at that level that we and a lot of other people think they already are.
Well, they had after the first half. I mean, Cincinnati had 20 bench points and Kansas had 0. Kansas has no depth. And I mean, historically, we've seen Kansas, I mean, there's 6-7 guys be like the number 2-3 guys on other rosters. And it's just, even their top 5 is suspect. I mean, we'll see, obviously. I mean, we understand what Kansas can be, but I'm with you guys. Like, this isn't the same Kansas team.
Well, let's dive more into this too with Kansas. They got out rebounded again by 10. They got out rebounded by West Virginia by 10 plus. Then they get out rebounded by Cincinnati. what does Hunter Dickinson do? I'm perplexed by Hunter Dickinson and just his lack of energy when I watch him. He doesn't do anything. He just walks around. Yeah, he may make a jump hook every now and then, but he really hasn't done shit here in the last couple weeks. He's just going through the fucking motions. He doesn't play defense. We've known that, but now he won't even rebound.
Yeah, he seems like he's getting ready for the NBA more than trying to win college basketball games. Like sticking to the perimeter and trying to prove that you have the ability to extend away from the basket. Like that's cool and all. But when you're playing a team like Cincinnati and you can get down in the post and score points, like why wouldn't you just continue to do that? And the answer is, just like Chad's saying in the chat, he's soft. I mean, just like Noah, he's a Michigan guy at heart. So like, he's kind of soft. And
well,
he's listening to country music instead of DMX. That's the problem. He needs to be listening to DMX, not bluegrass.
There you go. My biggest thing is looking, I guess, at the other side. If for some reason Bill Self just knows he's just not nearly as deep. Well, I know he knows this, but if his strategy is we're not nearly as deep as we've been in past years, we'll get it going mid-February. Like we'll save the plays, we'll save the reserves, we'll get it going in February because that's the only thing I can think of.
He could already be looking forward to his next job at his alma mater.
He's not fucking leaving Kansas for fucking Oklahoma State. I'll kiss your fucking ass if that happens. He's got the best job. He's got the best job in the country.
You'll end up like Ricky kissing fucking Leahy's butt when he can't pay him.
Yeah. There's a 0.00% fucking chance he comes home to Stillwater. He likes Stillwater, but yeah, no. And Bill talked about it. He made a good point. I didn't even think about this angle too, because they were asking, and how Scott Van Pelt comes on right after the game ends, and they were talking to him about his lack of depth, and he says, "Yeah, I think that shows up more in the regular season than it does in March Madness because." In March Madness, the timeouts are double the time, which is true. I mean, every timeout's like 3 to 4 minutes, and halftime is like 20 minutes. So instead of a 12-minute, it's a 20-minute segment, and there's more built-in timeouts. So I think he's really focusing on fueling the freshman, Johnny Furphy. I mean, he's the one that won the game the other night. If he doesn't go for 23 the other night, the white kid, they fucking lose because Dickinson didn't show up. DeJuan Harris has been god-awful. The last couple games too. He's been just as disappointing as Dickinson. McCullough, he was all right. Real quick, but obviously this is a gambling show as well. I think Kansas will get it turned around. Let's talk about Cincinnati's fucking strategy down the stretch with 30 seconds because that's what everybody wants to talk about. I've never seen a team down 7 with 30 seconds, 40 seconds left, not attempt 1 3-pointer the entire last 30 seconds. I've never seen that. I've never seen that ever. It's like they wanted to cover. They didn't care if they won the game. Just fucking brutal. Kansas should have covered the game. They're a fucking 12. And like Troy said, when it's a fog on fucking Monday after loss, they usually win by 20. So,
hey, Russ, it's why it's important to tune in to us early. And if you're going to bet, get those lines early. I mean, I know they didn't cover in this game, but that could have been one of those 7 points to 8.5 points you would have at least pushed to not covering it all. Another example this year.
Yeah. Troy, how pissed off are you? Because me and you locked Kansas. That was ridiculous what fucking Cincinnati did.
It's almost, I mean, not to like have a great transition or anything, but it's almost like watching West Virginia when you watch DeJuan Harris. Like you're just expecting him to finally break out. You're expecting him to finally have a game where he has at least a little bit of an impact. And then it never comes. You're in a game where everybody else is struggling, and it's like, yo, DeJuan, you could throw up a few shots if you're open.
Shoot.
Yeah, he won't shoot the damn basketball. It is crazy. It is like he lost all confidence in the off season, and that's kind of the thing that makes them run though. Like everybody else on Kansas could be soft, but if you've got a distributor point guard that can at least hit that like elbow jump shot or a couple of floaters, everything else opens up. And because that's not happening, they don't have anything to do. I mean, they won the game before because McCullough went off. So at this point in time, you're either hoping that Hunter Dickinson can get you 30, which he's a little too soft to do that. If he was getting offensive rebounds, he might get, 6 or 8 more points a game. But so you're hoping for McCullough to be kind of hot from distance and maybe score you some points. And I mean, that strategy works from game, a game every now and then, but not game to game. You can't just hope that your forward is going to destroy the game from the perimeter. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like they haven't had an identity of anything so far this season. That's the one thing that scares me about saying I could see Kansas turning around. How? Like, what are they going to lean on in order to turn around? And I don't have any idea right now of what they're going to do that.
It's got to be their two guys that are supposed to be their stars. Harris has got to play better. He had 5 turnovers. He had a turnover at the end, up 5 or up. They went up 10 with fucking a minute 30, and it was like, all right, Kansas is finally going to cover. And Dwan Harris completely shit the bed against their press, like he was a freshman, and threw it right to him for a dunk. I was like in awe that he as a senior made that fucking turnover. It's got to start with Harris. It's got to be Dickinson, because McCullough and Furphy are the ones playing well. So, all right, let's transition over real quick. Kansas goes to 4-2 in league play. Cincinnati drops to 2-4, but I think we all agree that Cincinnati a little bit better once again. They almost won in Waco. They almost won at the Fog. They're going to be a bubble team the entire time, so we'll see what happens. But let's get paid. Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy, because you can play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college hoops, college football. Simply pick higher or lower. Fantasy can cash in. You can win 100 times with some spicy plays. Troy, I know you got some shit cooking up here. We got K-State, Iowa State. We got some other games across the country. Bama, Auburn, the Iron Bowl on the hardwood. What are you looking at here to get down on tonight for Underdog?
When I was scrolling through the Kansas State numbers, I noticed that Arthur Kaluma is only at 11.5 points. And we've been talking about it on the show. He's really turned it on the last 3 or 4 games. I'm going higher on that at 11.5. I think Kaluma has a pretty good game. And then over on the Villanova side, we're going to take more. I saw him at 12.5 points. We're going to go higher on that. He was not present for the first matchup. So I think he makes a pretty big difference here for Villanova. And just a bonus bet on the side. Villanova looks like the pick here.
I like the Wildcats here against the Johnnies. I like that angle. Bounce back, revenge angle. Watch along, make your pay, make some picks, maybe make a little bit of cash over on Underdog's website, underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit, match up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. All right, let's talk about the game I have no interest in talking about. I'm not going to lie to you. West Virginia goes to the bounce house. Honestly, didn't just fucking no-showed the game. Went through the motions. Got hit in the mouth. Got out-rebounded. Give UCF credit. They played like the desperate team at home coming off the loss. West Virginia was dog shit. Rush, your takeaways. I know we'll go Ryan and Rush here in, 45 minutes and break it down more thoroughly. But just on the surface, your reaction to another disappointing road game for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, so there's a storm coming through Morgantown right now. I'm on hotspot, so that's why I've kind of been a little in and out. So if I go out for this game, I'm not complaining about this one. The other ones, I don't want to go out for. But all joking aside, yeah, it looked like the Oklahoma game last year. Last week, and actually, there's a case that it even looked worse. I mean, they just. I don't know if it was, hey, we just beat Kansas. It's time to go on a roll. This game will come to us. It's, UCF. They're new to the Big 12. We'll beat them. I don't know if it was, just a down night. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't good. We're still waiting for consistency to build up. Can this team put together 2 games in a row? Because I don't think they have this year. Have they won 2 in a row this year? I don't think they have. Obviously, with everything that happened in the non-con. And then now, I really don't think they have won 2 games in a row.
No, they haven't won 2 in a row.
And I think that's
always been every other game.
Yeah, it's every other game. I mean, they definitely lost 2 in a row, but that was also kind of a part of a different season. But it's they gotta, if they're gonna, get this team meshing, get this team figured out, for Big 12 play, and at least go 500 or kind of make a little run in the Big 12 to at least give the committee the struggle of figuring out well, this team didn't have their identity to start, but now they did, and they clearly did well in the best conference in America. They're at least going to have to win 2 in a row, especially, right? We got Oklahoma State this Saturday. Hopefully Jesse Edwards is back and they can do that. But next week, you got Cincinnati and BYU, 2 newcomers in Morgantown that is not used to that atmosphere. You have to at least win those 2 in a row. So, and you're going to have to steal one occasionally too. So going back to last night's game, tough game. They had opportunities to get back in it, and the biggest concern, Ryan, is, and I think you agree with this, is, when they get punched in the mouth, instead of sticking and having faith in what's got them to be successful, making that extra pass, playing as a team, all these players kind of want to revert back to this individual selves and play pickup basketball and do things that don't work, doing uncharacteristic things. Like, not everyone on that team's meant to drive the ball, but all of a sudden they get in panic mode and everyone thinks they're Raekwon Battle. And, he kind of disappeared last night too. So
we got tossed.
Well, that too, he got pissed. So he was too busy flirting with a cheerleader.
He's got to find a way to
those boobies, man. The Central Florida boobies.
The fucking bounce house fucking tits fucking got him.
Well, that's why I call it the bounce house.
Yeah. He's got to find a way, man, when he's not getting open and his shots aren't falling. He's got to find a way to impact the game in other ways. It's just like, hey, man, my shot isn't falling. I'm just going to be a no-show. And there's multiple guys on that team. So obviously a frustrating night. Troy, you ended up coming on the West Virginia side. I blame everybody in the chat for hopping on West Virginia because everybody was on fucking Kansas and Texas the last Saturdays. Stop picking West Virginia. I'm the only one allowed to pick them. So we need to make sure the chat fucking, especially Chad G, is against us, because that's when we know we'll win. But Troy, your takeaways here at the bounce house.
Well, I know after Raekwon gets tossed, you can bet the over on his points here probably for 3 or 4 games straight. But yeah, for a team that I would consider that, I mean, it's not a must-win game, but it's more of that, like, you better compete and you better show that this momentum from the home wins is going to do something on the road. And like we were saying, maybe UCF isn't that weak of a road team to go play against, but to show up with no real energy and stuff like that was kind of disappointing. I mean, you could turn that game off after the first 12 minutes, 15 minutes of the game. It was just not interesting. Didn't really bring a lot to the table. I really don't know how you can bet this team for a while here.
Till they're at home. Take them at home every time. At home every time. I mean, they're, as a home dog, they're great, but I do agree on the road. It's going to be, even at Oklahoma State, it's going to be hard to take them. I mean, I'll probably convince myself, but it's on the road, man. It's going to be interesting. Hey, real quick on UCF, did we underestimate the atmosphere down there that, like, headed into conference play? Like, I knew the Kansas game would be rocking because it was the first game, but it was rocking for BYU. It was rocking for West Virginia last night. Those aren't, like, that's not Kansas. I mean, that you got to give UCF and that student body some credit. They're fucking fired up to be in this league.
Oh, hell yeah. That place is
rocking.
rocking.
That place was rocking. I was like, God damn, it's loud as shit down there. I didn't see that coming, Rush. Did you?
I mean, we got glimpses of it against Kansas and BYU, but I mean, on what was last night? Tuesday night?
Yeah.
In, middle, West Virginia coming to down. It was. I mean, hey, good for them. They're ready to go, man. All those, as Troy likes to say, all those pent up bath salts, man.
Yeah.
Coming to play even midway week.
I mean, they got drugs for sure.
They're doing something right. They fucking got the palm trees fucking and everything. So shout out to UCF, 3-3. They win again. From here, West Virginia goes to Stillwater and a must win again. UCF will go to Cincinnati, Skyline Chili, between 2 bubble teams on Saturday. All right, next up, and this kind of, I mean, I thought Texas was going to win, but I thought it was going to be a 1-possession game. This kind of was stunning the way that they pulled away from them and kind of flexed their muscles a little bit here in Norman, and kind of was disappointing from an Oklahoma fan standpoint. I'll let you speak on it, Troy, here in a second, that they kind of just laid down there over the last 10 minutes. Texas pulls away. they battled back from 6 points. I mean, they finished the game on an 18-6 run or some shit. Max A. Smith is absolutely rolling. Dylan DeSue's playing well. What was your takeaway? Because I know you watched this whole game, Troy, closer than us because we were watching West Virginia. I had it on, but I didn't get it wasn't my undivided attention like Kansas, UC, and West Virginia's UCF.
It just seems like Oklahoma doesn't have a guy they can lean on when you need a tough basket or you need like a run breaker or anything like that. They don't have like a go-to dude that's going to do that on a consistent basis, whereas Texas has multiple guys that can do that. And when Dylan DeSue is going to rebound the basketball the way that he did, there's going to be a lot of teams that have a tough time beating Kansas. I mean, if DeSue can impose his will, Max A. Smith is just going to be able to bomb threes, which is exactly what you want if you're Texas or a Texas fan. This was, again, Oklahoma you would expect them to have more energy here. And this wasn't even like a road spot like West Virginia going down to UCF. This was them playing in Norman and came out, pretty flat. So I don't know. These are the kind of games that you watch and you start to doubt Porter Moser. Like he beats up on some of the mid-range teams, and maybe I wasn't giving Texas enough credit because the reasoning behind the Oklahoma bet is I think Texas is one of those mid-range teams. Maybe not. Maybe Texas is putting their name in the hat.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. He has not beaten Texas yet. That's kind of been his kryptonite. So, I mean, this is a great win. Rush, you locked Texas. Shout out to you.
Just felt right. Especially
everybody was on Oklahoma.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seemed like Oklahoma was due for one of these in Norman. I think we all agreed that they don't have the same home court advantage as other teams in the Big 12. And what was it? 2 losses in a row for Texas, especially after that Baylor game. They felt due.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So Texas winners of 2 in a row. They seem to be finding their groove. They head to the Super Soaker on Saturday. We'll be on BYU for that one.
Pardon me. They beat Baylor at the end. I knew that. They had 2 in a row losses before that, barely beat Baylor. This felt like a get-right game. That's what I meant by that.
3-3. Oklahoma drops to 3-3. And Oklahoma will get Texas Tech on Saturday. Real quick, Chad, and what's Chad asking? Get over there at the merch store. And Mason Swindler, go fuck yourself. How was that Kansas pick last Saturday? Plus 450 on the money line, you jackass. You suck ass too. All right, let's move along in this slate. TCU, man, gets it done 74-69 over the Oklahoma State Cowboys. This was fucking brutal, man. Dude, this is the worst fucking loss spread-wise of the fucking week for me. Oklahoma State leads by 17 and somehow doesn't fucking cover fucking 4.5. Oh, they're so brutal. They are so brutal. They'll probably beat West Virginia on Saturday with that said. And Coach P in the chat asks, is there worse home court advantage with Oklahoma? No. Oklahoma, maybe Stillwater. Stillwater, nobody's there. And that's a perfect transition for this because, dude, there was nobody there, Troy. I know it was a 9:00 game. I know they suck, but man, I remember this program being a proud program. They used to pack that thing. There was like 1,000 people at that game against TCU.
They legalized weed in Oklahoma, and now everybody's too lazy to go to a fucking 9 p.m.
Did they really?
Oh yeah, it's like 7-Eleven's dispensaries. There's one every block. Now everybody's just. It's like the South Park episode where everybody's just walking around Blaze with their nuts in a fucking wheelbarrow.
It's a great episode.
I mean, what's your honest take on the Cowboys, man? I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. How do you not cover that?
I did also get it at 5 and 5.5. So 1-1, pushed 1, lost 1, basically broke even. But we gave out 4.5 here on the show and half a point. Man, I just don't see some of these desperate teams. Maybe it is just the midweek spot more than the weekend spot, but some of the desperate teams in the midweek just no-showed completely. And, Oklahoma State did the opposite. They came out on fire and looked awesome, and they had a 17-point lead. And the first thing that I thought was, man, at 17 points, they're probably still going to lose, but they should be able to cover this 4.5 pretty easily. No, they're just, I don't know. They just run out of gas. They don't have the right team makeup. Obviously, I don't think Mike Boynton's going to be around for next year's go around. I don't know how long he'll be
Not
around.
a chance.
But
yeah, no, he's gone. He's gone. I like Mike, but damn. Yeah.
I mean, but that's going to count, even though it's Stillwater. And we talked about, some of the teams that don't have the biggest home court advantage. That's still a road win for TCU. They finally get it done without the stupid rubber gray fucking scaly court on their side. But man, that had to be like playing in an AAU tournament with that many people there. Just
it's terrible.
Relaxed, no big deal. You're down 17. There's like usually if the home team's up 17 points that quickly, the building is going fucking nuts. And instead, it's like 5 people are in line for concessions.
Yeah. Rush, is Oklahoma State going to beat West Virginia for their first win on Saturday?
Sure is looking like it, isn't it? I mean,
it feels like we're going to fucking give them their first win. I was like, oh, God, I really wanted them to win that game because then I'm like, all right, they probably won't win 2 in a row, but it's not feeling good.
We'll even get Jesse Edwards back. And we'll ride that momentum being like, let's go. We'll be in a grinder and lose by 2 or 3 points. I feel like I've seen this story over and over again.
Yeah, that means we cover, though. Oklahoma State will be like a 3-point favorite.
Finally get their wins.
Yeah.
It's I mean, Oklahoma State, I mean, they've officially moved in. I mean, they're kind of in the same position West Virginia is. Like, I guess West Virginia's hanging on by a thread because of
really
the way
bad.
the season – really bad. But if it's the way the season started, I guess that's the only thing West Virginia has excuse-wise. But they're both basically in that spoiler position. So who's going to spoiler the spoiler? However you're supposed to. But hopefully at least West Virginia can win a road game. I'm not counting like football or basketball. We cannot do Stillwater. I mean, we take on the poke choke ourselves in Stillwater. You pass that torch for a second there, Troy. West Virginia does a great job of it there. So,
well, hey, all we need, Troy or Rush, all we need is Chad and all those guys in the chat to be on Oklahoma State this weekend, and then I know we'll win. Even Mason, because he said his account is broken because of our picks because he's not man enough to fucking make his own picks and evaluate.
Because we went onto his phone and placed those bets.
Yeah, he's living in his fucking mom's basement.
Accept button.
Still.
I mean, all my picks they're profitable right now. It's kind of funny. You ever seen Private Parts to Howard Stern? It's like those who like Howard Stern, how long are they tuning in for? An hour and a half. Those who don't like Howard Stern, how long are they tuning in for? 2.5 hours. It's always the hate that drives, right?
Is there a bigger clown fucking statement than you made me lose money? It's like, did I tell you to jump off a cliff? No, you can make your own fucking decisions. Did I tell you to go get fucking 20 fucking shots just like the government? No, I didn't fucking do that. So fucking man up. If you like the bet, place it. If you don't, then fade the picks and let me know how it does because you're going to go bankrupt that way too. So
the whole 40-hour GameStop check just went right out the window.
What's funny is at least one of us, we usually at least a couple of us are going against each other. Like, so it's like, which side do you choose? I mean, choose the argument you like. We're just here to lay it out. Like,
I would almost guarantee that no matter what this number is for Oklahoma State and West Virginia, if it's a solid number and not a half, it'll be a push.
Yeah. Hey, and I'll tell you what, we're going to have another pick here in a minute. K-State, Iowa State, if you want to fade it, fade it. I mean, we're cold right now. We were cold the 5 games this week. On Saturday, we were on fire. Last week, we're on fire. It's part of the game. It's just like everything else. You go through the lumps and then you ride the hot one. So here we go. Real quick before we dive into, I knew you'd get a kick out of that fucking that back jab. We're brought to you by Cut, peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S. based and legal in 40 states. Head over to cut.com. That's KUTT.com and use the promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus today. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting analytics research platform for parlays, props, game lines. Research all NFL, NBA, soccer with historical data and stats. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets who craft a more intelligent, data-driven parlay. Download the Hall of Fame bets or visit HOFBets.com. Code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. And like I said, we're also brought to you by the merch store. Chad G, you were talking about gear. Get over there, 15% off in the store till the end of the month. Promo code PLAYOFFS. We're competing against all other shows, so help out the college experience. Even if you hate us and hate our picks and you want to fucking fade us, go over there and help us out, just like you are right now by tuning in and boosting our ratings.
Mason, we're not alcoholics. We also like weed too. Come on. Can't even get my tea to work in the back.
You know what's crazy? And then he keeps coming back. So who's the real clown here? You can't get enough of this fucking show. So it sounds like you got a fucking obsessive problem with this show. If you're
actually, Mason, the betting sites promote us. That's that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, I love it. I love clown takes. All right, game of the night last night, Russ. I'm gonna hand it to you first. This was fucking brutal. BYU, dude, they shoot too many threes. I know they're a 3-point shooting team, but it's every fucking shot with this team. They shot themselves out of the Texas Tech game. They shot themselves out of the Cincinnati game. Last night, what did they finish from three? Because it felt like it was every attempt. 11 of 39. That's too many.
Dude, I think
that's
like
way too many.
Was Jimmer Fredette at the game, and then all of a sudden, like they wanted to feel like, we're gonna resurrect Jimmer Fredette. I mean, dude, no kidding, man. And that was my concern with this team. We all agreed going into this Big 12 season that they were overrated. And, they started to kind of show that they're there. I mean, at the same time, too, they lost to number 4 Houston, but you also can't lose your home games in Big 12. You already lost one to Cincinnati, and now you're losing to Houston, too. I mean, dude, this is just BYU sports in a nutshell. It's You think you got it figured out, and then you just end up crashing. But they're not. The problem with this, you actually see this with the football team as well, but it's a little different with basketball. Is they don't make adjustments. Like they'll be in the game the first half, they may be leading it, and then they come out. They're like, all right, guys, good job. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And then you get these teams that are better than them athletically, physically, and they just get dominated in the second half. And they're like, well, how did that happen? We were in it. We saw it against Texas Tech. We saw it, against Baylor. We saw it against, Cincinnati to lead off the season. Is BYU, to give them credit, they are doing better than we originally thought they would in the Big 12, but they lose their identity in a way. Maybe they're just still trying to establish their identity. I don't know what's wrong with this team, but they got to figure it out.
Dude, they can't be dropping home games. They suck on the road. You can't drop home games if you're BYU. Troy, your takeaway, obviously, give me the Houston side of things, because we talked about it pre-show. I'm starting to buy into this Houston team more and more that they're going to win the national championship or be there to win it because they're going through this Big 12 gauntlet. They're getting better and better, and they're more battle tested.
I think you can at least take them to make the Final Four. I don't know exactly what the number is right now for them to win the national title, but here in Virginia, we get numbers based on no Virginia schools included. And I was on them at 12-1, was on them at 11-1. They just seem, with Kelvin Sampson and getting to play the Big 12 schedule, that seems like something that would push them over the edge to win a national title and to put them in these positions where it is hard to go on the road up to Provo and win that game. But if they're going to shoot 43% from three and be able to play situational defense the way that they did, no one's beating Houston. 0 people are beating Houston. Tibbles is mad.
There you go. He's mad about BYU. No, dude, I was getting ready to say, you stole the thought right from me, Troy, is they fucking made 10 threes. They made as many threes as BYU did, but they took 15 less. So, I don't know, Rush. I just made the case why I think Houston actually can win the national championship. I still think Kansas will win the league, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? With this gauntlet that they're going through, it makes them better down the road.
I do. I think we were on silly, and I'm sticking to it. If I were to bet today, gun to my head, I would pick Houston to win the national championship. I think this Big 12 conference is exactly what they needed and what they lacked in the American. Yeah, we'll see how the Big 12 conference tournament goes. You also are not sure, who's more saving it for March Madness and who wants to show up there. So yeah, probably Kansas will figure it out by that point. But man, if they play like they did last night, like the way Troy said, nothing stopping this Houston team. No.
Dude,
exactly.
Well, when they're making threes, they're very reminiscent of the Baylor National Championship team that, can turn the defense on when they need to at any point in time. And again, even if they're only shooting in that like 35% range, not necessarily over 40, they're not going out quietly against anybody. So, I mean, I would suggest at least getting on the Final Four number right now, especially with a couple of people in the chat saying, Elite Eight for sure, Elite Eight for sure. You can get probably 3-1 for them to win one more game than the Elite Eight.
Who did they play this weekend?
Houston, they got. I just looked at this. They got K-State at home, so they're gonna drill them. Next week is their week. Next week's their week because they go to Big Monday in Austin. That's another reason to take BYU over Texas this weekend. Look ahead. And then they go to the Fog on Saturday. So they're in Austin and then they're at the Fog next Saturday. They will lose at the Fog is my prediction. They won't be able to make a shot somehow. That'll be the day they can't throw it in the ocean. 2 for 20.
And that would be the time to bet on the Final Four for them. That's what I'm saying is when's that sweet spot to bet on them?
Yeah.
At this point, it's probably too late to get a lower number unless they lose 2 or 3 straight games.
Yeah.
To be completely honest. They've already shown
if they got crushed by Kansas in the Fog. That's probably the Kansas statement game when Kansas is like, oh, you all were against us. We crushed Houston. That'd be the time to pick Houston.
I think it'd be the other way around. If Houston goes on the road, you're going to get a better number. If they were to beat Kansas, that would be the time to pick Kansas.
Do they play? They play Kansas the last game of the year in Houston. So yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
I mean, the Houston schedule shapes up perfectly for them to, maybe not try to win the Big 12 tournament, but at least get 2 games or something like that, and then be 6,000 grit, kitchen knife sharpened, ready to roll through the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the best thing that happens is if they lose in the conference tournament and get that extra day of rest. That's like UConn did last year. I think that's one of the hidden advantages. So, all right, put a bow on it. Round 6 concludes tonight in the Big 12. We got one more game, and we got Farmageddon and Ames, Iowa. All right, guys. So K-State's going to Iowa State. Iowa State is laying. I mean, I nailed this number. I thought that it would be 7.5. This game was a close game twice last year when they played. Obviously, K-State's not as good as they were. Iowa State is a machine at home, but Iowa State likes to play close games. They're off a big road win. A little bit of a letdown, I think, here. I know K-State is at the top of the leaderboard in the Big 12. Lipsy, I think, is supposed to be back. I'm taking K-State. This is Farmageddon. I think this game comes right down the wire, one possession game. I probably lean towards Iowa State grinding this out because it's at Hilton. Are you saying they win by 4?
Oh, no. Mason was giving me shit, and I'm like, I'm already married. I was showing my ring.
God, yeah. Mason's over there bitching about picks, and then he's saying the games are rigged. So, yeah, we're talking this rigged game over here, Mason.
Called Mason's phone, no rings.
Yeah. But I do agree with your little gesture. Give me Iowa State to win by 4. I like that. Let's go. What was the score last year in these 2 games? I remember them beating them by 5 there. Iowa State last year they beat K-State 80-76. That's actually way higher score. And the other one was 61-55. Give me the Cyclones 68-64.
Kind of sounds about right. I think you can find this number at 8 if you want to take the points with Kansas State, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Iowa State's only pulled away from Oklahoma State. All the other teams that they've played, they've been able to grind out and get wins. But at that 7.5, 8 number, you got to take the points with K-State in this rivalry game. I'm sure it's a 1-possession game, and then, a couple of free throws might put it in that 4-point range like Mac was saying. But this is an Iowa State team that can score a little bit better. than, everybody assumed coming into the year. So, I mean, playing at home, you gotta think that Iowa State's going to find a way to win. I just don't think it's going to be by 7.5 or 8 points.
So we talked about this. When did we talk about this? Whenever the last time we really went into depth about Kansas State, probably on Monday when we were recapping games. Kansas State loves playing to the level of their opponent, no matter how good, no matter how bad, right? So, I'm with you guys. Kansas State should cover this 7.5 point spread. However, the game is in Hilton. I really liked my picks a lot this week. And for that reason, I'm going the opposite. I'm picking Iowa State minus 7.5. And it just feels like I'm going to be wrong either way, the way this week is going. But I guess everything evens out for a reason. Kennedy's on Kansas State as well. So there you go, guys. You can all win money because of me.
Yeah, you're overthinking this one. You're fucked up from your picks this week. Now you're playing with your head.
No, I'm literally not overthinking it. I literally told you how I felt, and I'm like, I'm going opposite.
There you go. I feel pretty good about it. I don't know.
The old
man.
Costanza play, baby.
7.5 is like I do agree with you. 8, and then if it would have been great to get 8.5 because that 7 number is like right when teams start fouling or stop fouling. If it's like under 15 seconds, call off the dogs, run out the clock. But like right at that 7 number, some coaches have different philosophies. So I'm looking forward to this game. This is Farmageddon. So yeah, anybody think K-State wins? Troy, you think they win? I don't think they win.
I don't think they win, but there's probably a little bit of value to put on that money line.
You can sprinkle it. Yeah.
Especially, Iowa State, pretty big win over the weekend.
I wouldn't sprinkle the money line here. Now, this does seem like Kansas State loss.
I don't think anybody. The Hilton Magic is just too much for me to think that you could place a sizable bet or any kind of respectable bet on Kansas State straight up. And I think that the line is telling you exactly what's going to happen. But I know someone mentioned it in the chat earlier. Let me see if I can find it. You might be better off. Yeah, Nathan, you might be better off to buy a point and get them at 8.5.
I like that.
I think you could lose some juice to get that extra free throw.
I'll buy, or I'm not going to buy. I'm just going to shop and take the 8. I'm taking the 8, and that's over at one of the books right now. What is it, DraftKings right now?
I know DK is at 8 right now.
Yeah, DK's got 8, so I'm taking 8 over at DraftKings. Iowa State by 4. All right, guys. Another round 6 is in the books. Yeah, all our picks are on the picks page, so get over there. Obviously, we're having a good year. Shit week, but hey, that's why it's called gambling for a reason, and we're bouncing back here tonight and on Saturday. I can't wait for these games on Saturday are pretty good, and not just the Big 12. I mean, the Big East, the Big 10. The ACC sucks as a league, but they got some good games. So looking forward to it. We're getting out of here. Go join us over on the Ryan and Rush show here in 10 minutes. Rush, you got anything else going on, man?
Ryan and Rush for today. Going to the baseball dinner Saturday for the start of it. We got baseball season around the corner. Going to be covering that here on the Big 12 College Experience as well. So, hey, there is something fun about the intersection of when one sport's kind of ending, the other one begins, and you got double duty here. So looking forward to that. But find me at Rambling Rush, Twitter, Instagram. Appreciate all of you, even Mason.
Yeah, that's how much we get paid. I said too much, man. We're overpaid. So yeah,
overpaid.
Troy, what you got going on?
Underworked and overpaid.
Yeah,
don't have much going on. It's a nice golf tournament. Nice golf tournament this weekend that goes, Wednesday through Saturday instead of Thursday through Sunday. Any of the bets that you want to make on that, pay attention to if your player is playing at the North Course or the South Course out here at Torrey Pines. North Course is about 700 yards shorter, way easier to score on. But I think the best bet for the night is going to be taking Rice in the first half against FAU.
It. Yeah,
FAU likes to play with their food. I know people in the chat are looking for the best bet of the night. I think Rice has got a chance, at least in the first half, to go money line and maybe point spread. But man, FAU doesn't. They kind of remind you of Kansas right now, where you're expecting them to be baller and they're not really showing it. So, Mason's just.
He's just throwing these corny ass joke after corny ass joke. Mine was Furman over Sanford ending that losing streak. The other one I really liked was Bama and the Iron Bowl on the hardwood. That was what Colby and I gave out. I think Colby also loved Virginia over NC State. Shocker, he's fading NC State. And there was another couple ones. So go check out the college experience from last night. Games tip off here in an hour. Big 12. We got the late game tonight, 9 Eastern. So check that out. Farmageddon on the hardwood. Go check out the Ryan and Rush show here in 10 minutes. We'll see you guys Friday. And we are out of here. Let's go watch some rigged games, apparently.
Yeah, we know which ones are rigged. That's why we're doing a gambling show.
That's why I'm a millionaire.